In this chapter, Yechezkel continues in its description of the Beis Hamikdash, and he talks about this, that Hashem is going to lead him into the sanctuary through the southern gate, which is always closed. He's only allowed to go this time that Hashem is coming back to bring his Shekhinah back into the Beis Hamikdash. But ordinarily, one could only go from the northern side. So the southern side is always closed. And we could see the two sides in the picture that I show. And these entranceways go into the time, go into the cells. And after this, it talks about who's allowed to serve in the Beis Hamikdash, and it says that Kohanim, who are called Bnei Necher, which literally means Gentiles, but the Talmud explains this to mean Kohanim who have strayed from the path of Hashem are forbidden from serving in the Beis Hamikdash. And then it talks about the clothes of the Kohen Gadol, describes the clothes of the Kohen Gadol and the Kohanim, and talks about their holiness and how they have to only wear it when they're serving and wear other clothes when they go out. And it talks about the different prohibitions that Kohanim have, like they can't just cut the hair or drink wine or to marry certain women. And there's different, and usually they're not allowed to become impure to a dead body, unless it's a relative. And it talks about the different gifts that they get. It talks about how they don't have an inheritance, meaning to say that when the land is divided, they don't get a portion. Of course, they have a place to live, the place of the Nasi. They have a place to live there, but they don't get a portion to work the land like everyone else, since their function is to totally serve Hashem. And it finishes off by enumerating different presents and gifts that they get as being Kohanim. Now, Vayashev Oisi Derech Hashar Hamikdash Achitzon, he brings me to the gateway of the Beis Hamikdash, the outer one, which is the sanctuary. The Heichal is outer to the Kodesh Kodashim, Apoina Kadim, which faces eastward, Vusagur, and it is closed. So it was closed, meaning to say that when Hashem's presence came to the Beis Hamikdash, it was open to go in, but after this, it's closed. Vayemer Lai Hashem tells me, Hashar Zed, this gate, Sagiya, should be closed, Lei Peseach, it should not be opened. Ish Yavavai, and no one should go into it, should enter through it. Keshem Yisrael Bavai, for God, the God of Israel, has come through it. And after this, Vayesagur, it's closed to symbolize that Hashem is going to rest and dwell in the Beis Hamikdash forever. He's no longer going to leave. Now, as a Nasi, which means the prince, which goes on the Kohen Gadol or Mashiach. Nasi, who he's the prince. Yeshaboy, he should sit in this gate. You see this gateway, and he could sit there, lechel Hashem, to eat his bread, or the meat of the sacrifices before Hashem. So he gets to eat in private in this space. Although of course you can't open that gate. If you look at the picture on the left side, which is the southern side, there's space over there to eat in private. And now we say, Miderach Ulam Hashar Yavai, he should come through the hall of the eastern gate, which is the most prestigious gate. It's befitting the prince to come that way. and he could go out through the same way, which other people would have to go through a different gate, but the prince, the Kohen Gadol, is exempt from this, unless of course he's coming with other people. Now, as we said, the southern part was closed. Soften, he brought me through the northern gate, to the sanctuary, and the glory of Hashem has filled the house of God. And I fell on my face. I went to bow on Hashem to thank him for this, that he's going to rest his divine presence amongst us again. Hashem, and God told me, Ben Adam, Sim libcha, put your heart, and see with your eyes, with ears, Shema, hear, everything that I'm telling you, Chol chukes beis Hashem, all the statutes of the house of God, and all the different halachas of where everyone is supposed to stand, the Kohanim and the rest of the people. Set your heart to the entrance of the temple, and all of the going outs of which means the gateways that we go in and out of the Beis Hamikdash. What does it mean, set your heart? That you have to make sure that only a person who's fitting, who's pure, could go to a place that has elevated sanctity, elevated kedusha. Now he starts rebuking the Jewish people. V'amartel, marry and tell people who rebel, the Beis Yisrael, to the house of Israel. This is what God said. Rablechem, it's enough. Mikol Toyaveisechem, Beis Yisrael, from all of your abominations, the house of Israel, when you desecrated my Beis Hamikdash. When you brought people who went astray from my path, people who are who uncircumcised heart and uncircumcised flesh, to be in my temple, l'chali, spacey, to defile my house, bakrifchem, eslachmi, chilev adom, and they bring my bread, which is fat and blood, the karbanis, by afedu as brisi, and they defiled my covenant, al kol tevei and through all your abominations that you are serving Avodah Zarah. You didn't safeguard the charge of my holy places, that you should have only proper Kohanim who are proper to serve at the Simun, the Shemin Mishmarti, Mikdashi, Lachem. And you put in charge of my sanctuary those of your own selves, which means that the ones that will guard for your things, for your idol worship, those you let them serve in the Beis Hamikdash as well. This is what God said, any one who is estranged from the ways of Hashem, uncircumcised in the heart, uncircumcised in flesh, should not come to my temple, any estranged one amongst the children of Israel. Only the Levites who distance themselves, they distance themselves from me. When Israel strayed from me, after the idols, and they're going to bear their iniquity, they gotta pay for their sins. And the consequence is that they're not going to be able to serve in the Beis Hamikdash. And they should in the Beis Hamikdash, they should serve Pekudes al Sharabayis. They should be responsible for the gates of the temple, Mesharsim Sabayis, and they should serve the house with things that the house needs. They should slaughter the Oila v'Sezevach and the offerings for the nations. They should stand before them to serve them, which means that the slaughtering of the animal, that's something that even a non-Kohen is allowed to do, and because of their history of idol worship, they're gonna get this job and not the jobs that are befitting only for a Kohen. This is because Ashisharsim they served before the idols of Levites Yisrael, the Michshel Oven, and they became a stumbling block of iniquity for the house of Israel. Therefore I put my hand over them, Num Hashem Elikim, the word of Hashem, and also Avinam, and they should carry their iniquity. And they should not come close to me to serve as Kohanim, Lageshes, Al Kadoshai, and to come close to all my holies, Kacha Kadoshim, to the Holy of Holies, and also Klimasum, they should bear their shame, and the abominations that they did. And I should make them guardians of the charge of the house, for all of the service, and for everything that is done in it. This is the shame that's a punishment for this that they did. So basically, they'll be washing the floor and doing all these different necessary work that we have to do in the Beis Hamikdash, but the most important work, which has to do with the Mizbeach, that they're not going to partake in. The Kohanim Halavim b'nei Tzaddik, and the Kohanim which come from the tribe of Levi b'nei Tzaddik, the sons of Tzaddik, which was a Kohen in the times of Solomon, who he always guarded the guarding of my Beis Hamikdash. At the same time, when the children of Israel had strayed from me, they're going to come close to me to serve, and they're going to come before me to bring fat and blood. Num Hashem Elikim. This is the word of Hashem. They're going to come to serve on the Mizbeach. And they're going to come to the table, to the shulchan, which there was a special bread, the lechem aponim, which was a very special service, and they're going to do it, shamaris mishmarti, and they're going to safeguard my charge. When they come to the inner courtyard, which refers to what they go into on Yom Kippur, to the Kodesh Kodashim, the Holy of Holies, Big Defishtim Yilbashu, they wear linen clothes, and they shouldn't put wool in it, Bisharsam, when they serve Bishari Chatza Primis Vavaisa, and they serve at the gate of the inner courtyard and within. Padi Fishtim Yularesham, linen turbans should be on their heads. Fishtim Yom Masneam, they should put linen breeches on their loins, Layachguru Bayoza. And the belt, the avnit, they shouldn't put in the place where it perspires in the underarms, but it should be against the heart. When they leave to the outer courtyard, they go to the nation. To the outer courtyard, to the nation. As a big dam, they take off their clothes, which they serve, and they put it in the holy chambers. They wear other clothes, ordinary clothes. They kachus on the big dam. This is that they shouldn't mingle with the people while they're wearing their clothes. Although obviously the people, the nation that are standing in the Beis Hamikdash are not impure, they're of course totally pure, but nevertheless this is a special thing that they made to keep the clothing of the Kohanim in special sanctity. They shouldn't completely shave the hair of the Kohanim, and they shouldn't have too much hair, more than 30 days. They should keep their heads trimmed in a certain neat way, out of respect. The yain the yishtu kokain, and the kohen should never drink wine. This applies to both kohenim gdolim and ordinary kohen hedyot, achatza primis, and at the time that they go into the sanctuary. V'almano grusha, a widower and divorcee, layichlam menashin, they shouldn't take for wives. Kim sulis mizara beis Yisrael, only offsprings, only virgins from the offsprings of the house of Israel. Almana shatia v'almana, and a widower that's only widowed, that means that she's not divorced. The kohen yakachu, ordinary kohenim are allowed to marry them, but a kohen gadol can't even marry a widower; he has to marry a virgin. And my nation, the kohenim are going to teach them the difference between holy and mundane. Between impure and pure, yadium, they're going to let them know, they're going to teach them. And when there's a quarrel, they're going to stand for justice, because they're going to be part of the Sanhedrin. Going to adjudicate them according to my laws, according to my teachings and my decrees, and all the festivals they're going to keep, and they're going to sanctify my Shabbos. This is through bringing the necessary sacrifices on Shabbos. And a dead body, a kohen is not allowed to come impure to him, unless it's kiyum la'avul aim, unless it's a father and mother, levein labas, or son or daughter, la'achol la'chois, or a brother and sister, shalei ish, which never got married, itamo, he's allowed to come impure. Achari terasei, and after he separates from the dead body, shivas yom yisbrulei, he counts the 7 days, which this refers to the regular 7-day period of azoi, sprinklings, and immersing themselves in order to come pure. Aviyim boil kodesh, and then it comes to the sanctuary, the chatzah primis, to the inner courtyard, the shadas kodesh to serve in the sanctuary. Yaakov chatasi should bring his sin offering. Num Hashem Lakim. This is the word of Hashem. Va'islam, the nachla and the kohuna, being a kohen, should be their inheritance instead of inheriting a portion just like everyone else. Machuza, ani nachalasam, I am their inheritance. All the sacrifices and gifts that they get. Machuza leisitnu. They don't get an actual portion in amongst other people. I am their portion, all the different gifts of Kuna. And of course, they have a place to live, as I mentioned in the introduction, in the Nasi's portion. Mashiach comes, the Nasi, the prince, will have a portion in Eretz Yisrael, and part of the land is allocated for the Kohanim and Levim to live. Mincha v'achatos v'asham, different kinds of karbanis, mincha offering, sin offering, asham offering, guilt offering, hema yechlam, they eat it, v'chein b'Yisrael, v'chem tia. Any consecrated property that people consecrate is to them for the kohanim. Bereshis kol b'kuri chol, and all the first fruits, the best ones, v'chol trumas kol, and all the trumas from everything that you have to separate, v'kol trumesechem, for everything that you have to separate, the kohanim yeh goes to the kohen. So there's a whole bunch of different things that you have to take a little bit. For example, from say wheat or different grains, first fruits, you have to give a little bit to the kohanim. The first dough, you have to give a little bit to the kohen when you make dough. That brings a blessing to your house, and this way your wealth increases. Any animal which was let's say just died or slaughtered improperly from a bird, I mean a behema, from a animal, the Kohanim cannot eat it, and of course this prohibition applies to all Jewish people. So why do we say it's specifically for Kohanim? Because Kohanim, when they eat a bird in the Beis Hamikdash, they would, instead of doing a regular shechita, they would do malika, which is a different place on the neck, which would normally be absolutely treif for a normal person. So we would think that maybe the laws of kosher food are different. So we say that only applies to the Beis Hamikdash, but ordinarily all the provisions that it says in the Torah applies equally to Kohanim as well.